Hey guys, Enterthestars, and welcome back to the channel. Sorry for the delay. It had a couple things going on. Normally I actually come on early, but this particular day I had a few things I needed to wrap up this morning. I was actually working on this decode that I'm going to show you today till like 9 o'clock last night, which is late for me. But this is definitely a much anticipated decode. You guys have been looking forward to this. This is from Jordan Peele's new film called Nope, N-O-P-E. Now, the film was billed as a sci-fi UFO film, is what everyone thought it was going to be about, but it actually has a strange twist. Now, outside from the obvious foreshadowing of Monkeypawx, Monkeypaw Productions, it also reinforces electromagnetic frequency radiation. It talks about mind control, all kinds of symbolism. Let's watch these opening scenes here. Now, I'll be pausing this intermittently. YouTube has reached a new level of copyright. That's how they're getting people now, because they understand how powerful the images are, and you can't get the same effect across with just screenshots. I've tried that before, and you just can't. And so the only other way around that is to continue to pause it. But hopefully you guys don't get irritated with that, but that's what we have to do now. Otherwise, we're going to have to go back to just screenshots. So let's take a look at this opening sequence here. And what you're going to see is this chilling premonition. The production company Monkeypaw, which is Monkeypawx, and this monkey right here being controlled by electromagnetic frequencies, static electricity. And this filming actually completed before the first case of the monkeypox outbreak. Let's take a look at this. Now you're going to notice, first of all, this is what I noticed in this scene, is this crazed chimpanzee is wearing this hat. Now we all know that party favors have this metallic color to them. Now I don't know if they actually have metal in them, but the point here is we are the chimps. Let's watch this. Now if you don't know, what's happening here is this chimp goes crazy and he basically kills everyone on the set. They're actually on a movie set right here, filming a very popular TV show, and the monkey goes crazy and kills everybody. Monkeypaw production. Must have been what they were talking about here. Now, here's the proof. Filming was wrapped up on December 1st, 2021, long before the first case of monkeypox, which started in May of 2022. Now, I know the film released after monkeypox, but the filming was already complete almost 6 months earlier. Just so you know. Now, people said, oh, well, he always uses Monkeypaw Productions. Well, watch and listen.
And, of course, I set it to Icelandic time because we share a love of the Aurora Borealis, Gordy. And you...
Now, the chimpanzee's name is Gordy. And interestingly, he starts talking. They're on the set here. This is right before they all get killed. He starts talking about the Aurora Borealis, which of course is electromagnetic frequencies, the Earth's magnetic field. These are the clues that show you what's really going on here.
I have no idea how to tell. Love of the Aurora Borealis, Gordy. Love of the Aurora Borealis, Gordy.
Now, as the camera pans in, you're going to start to see the monkey just losing it. And you're going to hear balloons popping. Basically, all the balloons on the set pop. You also see this shoe standing on end by itself from the electromagnetic frequencies. Now this guy tries to come to the set to like save everybody, but the chimpanzee attacks him too. The little boy is under the table. There's the balloons popping. Now, many of you are probably falling out of your seat right now because that's all we've been talking about are the red balloons. And we told you what they meant. The helium balloons, the It Clown. And now these balloons are being featured in these Hollywood productions. Now, how did we know this was going to happen? Well, that's the Holy Spirit. He's got us on a path to expose the enemy and their agenda and how they're programming humanity. All the asleep people watching entertainment, having no idea what they're really watching. Now, even though I only show one balloon popping here, there are actually all the balloons in the room pop. Just want you to know that because, but I can't just play this all the way through. That's why it's kind of pieced together and edited together because of the copyright. So there's the shoe standing on end there, as you can see in the middle of your screen. And so this is about electromagnetics. It's about static electricity. And in fact, static electricity sparks will cause your balloons to pop. Unbelievable. Now, it took me a minute to break down that scene because at first I was like, what is going on here? Why is this monkey losing it? What's causing him to lose it? And then the red balloon emerged and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Helium. Now, remember I told you how everyone was acting really weird? People wilding out. You see men and women rushing armed police now. This is what's been going on. If you ever watch like Facebook Watch, you will see all these, I mean, you guys, we're living in an alternate reality right now. They're actually showing videos of this stuff on Facebook Watch. Videos of people just running towards police. They're basically suiciding themselves. Sometimes they're just walking up calmly with some kind of knife or a chain. And the police feel like they have to, you know, the police has to protect his life, right? I mean, I believe that there should be less lethal force. Like each officer should have like maybe a .22 pistol on their ankle. And so they can shoot someone in the leg if they have to. Because these people aren't in their right mind. I mean, who does this? Who just runs up to a police officer or walks up calmly to a police officer with a weapon? They know they're going to get shot. So what is going on? There's some other component to this. You got people raging out. You have people smashing and grabbing in these flash mobs. This was never a thing before. And you have to ask yourself, is something controlling these people? Electromagnetics, static. Now, you're also going to see as part of this film, there are lots of power interruptions. So anytime this giant jellyfish goes over them, the power runs out. Everything slows down because it's like drawing power out of it. And it almost puts people into a trance because they feel like they have to look at it. And when they look at it, that's when it eats them. Now, we've been talking all about eye portals, haven't we? This is all we've been talking about, you guys. It's almost like they're watching this channel and making movies out of it, but that's not what's happening. We know that's not what's happening. It's more like God is telling us, guiding us, and telling us, look at this, look at that. We're piecing everything together. He's revealing things, and then they're manifesting in the enemy's productions, isn't it? So here's a picture, an image of him looking up at this thing from his truck door, and it's literally a pupil and an iris in the eye looking down at him. So let's get into a little bit more of the details about what this film is actually about. Let me make sure you guys are with me. We'll do that. Let's see. Yep, it looks like we're all connected up. Okay, cool. So what's this film about? Well, it's about this black family who runs a business supplying horses to Hollywood. Now, the only reason why I call out the color of the family is because the film calls out the color of the family. they bring up like racial issues and some of these things, as these people are disrespected and not taken seriously. And so this is definitely right along the lines of Jordan Peele, what he likes to include inside of his movies, right? To continue the race divide. All right. Someone asked me, Casey, why do you even tell people you're black? Well, there's two reasons why I have to do that. One is I can say the exact same thing that I'm saying right now, and if I don't let YouTube know that I'm black, they could say these are racial biases or whatever and delete the channel. That's rule number one. Rule number two is there's still a lot of black people of color, who are still asleep to the agenda. And so the only way they're going to hear my message is if I identify with who I really am, a person of color. Because they need to be drawn out of their sleep. They need to see how they've been manipulated by the left, as well as the right, and been used as a pawn, literally, like a performing pawn for the elite to push their agendas forward. So that's why I have to do it. It's not because I feel like I'm in a certain race. It's because of the reasons that I just told you. And I hope that makes sense to people of color and people of not color. Sometimes people that are not of color get offended because I even call myself a person of color. And I just told you why I have to do that. Now, understand also that I get a lot of heat from people of my own race for simply stating the truth. They're in denial about this. No matter what I tell them my personal example. How I grew up poor and in the hood, but was able to, just with basically walking through doors, was able to do something with my life. It wasn't difficult. I don't look back and go, gosh, it was so hard to finish high school. Oh, it was so hard to go to college. Oh, it was so hard to get a college degree. It actually wasn't that hard. You just walk through the doors. There are opportunities. The left has lied to you and told you there are not opportunities. They keep you in the victim mindset, which keeps you behaving a certain way that holds yourself back. And they're like, well, you grew up in California. Look, there are people of color, they're falling all over themselves to give people of color scholarships. I would argue that there's black privilege. Yes, I got grants just based on my color for college. I probably was a diversity hire in several of my roles in sales. White people don't get that privilege. Now, yes, is there white privilege on the higher levels? Absolutely. But not on our level. Not you and me. Not anyone making less than $100,000 a year. It's actually flip-flop the other way. But see how they pit us against each other. And it isn't until you step outside of that mindset that you realize, wow, I have all the same opportunities as everyone else. Now, am I going to have to change my life a little bit and do things a certain way and maybe drop some of the attitudes that I've been programmed with? Absolutely, you probably should do that. It's going to open more doors for you. You guys, I'm here in rural Arkansas. My son and I just went yesterday to a place to get pizza in Gassville. It's supposed to be number 2 pizza in the world. I think it's called Nina's. Amazing pizza. I don't eat a lot of pizza anymore, but, Max was like, Dad, let's go get some pizza. So we stopped in. People just talk to us. They don't care that we're people of color. Guy gave us his card. Like every single person in there, much nicer than my experiences in California growing up, where people glare at you. People are like, don't talk to me. I'm busy. Unless you've got some way I can make money out of you. Completely different vibe. So you have to let go of these attitudes. It's all about how you conduct yourself, how you present yourself. Another thing Hollywood does is they put forth these roles of the angry black man or the angry black woman. And that's actually depicted in this movie. Kind of edgy, kind of like, don't talk to me. Be careful what you say because you might offend me. This is what's depicted in this film. I'm not making this up. And hardly anyone's going to tell this to you. And I'm putting myself out there as a man of color. There are a lot of black people that are going to be really angry at me about this, thinking that they were held back. No, you've held yourself back. You've got to take responsibility. Now, my mother, a black woman. Now, here's where we get into semantics, because people say, oh, you're not really black. Do you see what I have to deal with now? Because my skin tone's a little bit lighter than my black brothers and sisters. Now I get judged by them too. Oh, you don't really know the true black struggle. Because if your skin was darker, it would be different. Look, I'm not saying that that's not completely true. To some degree, maybe in some areas of this country. But then there's always a way out. And what they've done is they've allowed the dysfunctional depiction of a black person to basically make the screens, to make it to the big screen, to program the other black people to say this is how you should behave and act, which in turn continues to enslave them and hold them back. And that's just the truth. I'm speaking straight with you guys. And like I said, there are exceptions to this. And I understand that. And I've actually been in situations where I was a little bit on edge, but it's only happened like once or twice. Like I told you guys the story of when I was fishing down at the river, on the McCollum River, and a fishing game guy came, and I could tell that he felt threatened because I'm 6 feet 2 inches tall. And no matter how nice I was to him, I felt like he was nervous. He is a shorter cop, white cop, and he had his hand on his gun. He told me to put my hands where I could see them. And I was like, where is this aggression coming from? And it could have had something to do with color, but then you just go, you know what? This person has an issue, and I want to live today, and I'm just going to, deal with it. Got a $300 ticket and went on my way. So I'm not saying this never happens, but the media depicted as if every black person of color is walking through life and every white person is against them and they have privilege against, and it's simply just not true. It's simply not true. And so sorry about that little diatribe that I soapbox, but these are things that need to be talked about. And I feel a personal responsibility to talk about them and address them, because if I don't talk about it, who's going to talk about it, right? So anyway, this black family runs this business supplying horses to Hollywood. And the feeling that you get is like, wow, these people made it all the way to Hollywood and they're still being treated like it. That's what they want you to feel. Okay. Like there's no hope, no matter how well you do, you're always going to be treated like a black person. And again, that's another lie. It's simply not the case. Now, then at some point of this, they discover that their ranch is special. Why is it special? Well, it's home to this giant aerial flying jellyfish with metal plating. It looks a lot like a UFO, but it's got basically an iris in the bottom of it and a pupil. And this thing flies around, but it's like covert, like it sneaks up on you. It's camouflaged most of the time in the clouds. It kind of hides in the clouds. And it like flies out and like just scoops up and consumes humans through this aperture, an eye portal. And when it does this, it sucks its victims up through what appears to be a small tornado or like a whirlwind. So it basically goes around harvesting souls. But here's the catch. It can only scoop you up if you look at it. Now, ironically, the people running the farm realize they have something special on their farm and they want to capture it on camera, capture the creature on camera. They think it's going to make them famous. Because notice there are no really good pictures of UFOs. So that's kind of what they're tapping into here. So the irony of this is they're trying not to look at it so the thing doesn't eat them, but they also have to look at it to film it, don't they? So you got a camera looking at a camera, which is like infinity, isn't it? Have you ever looked in a mirror, had a mirror behind you, and it goes on into infinity? Kind of like a portal, isn't it? Now we know, let's keep watching here, because we know that syringe umbrellas are an essential are an essential part of the formula to bring humanity through the portal of possession. Let's take a look at this and look at the umbrellas here.
I don't think it eats you if you don't look it in the eye.
Now, this is the scene where they're at this Hollywood studio and he's bringing the horse and he's like, don't look at it in the eye.
Hey, don't look at it in the eyes, please.
Here's the umbrella, just a random umbrella, right? Wrong. We know that nothing is random. Notice the umbrella is next to the well. Now we'll get into what the well means in a minute here. But this is crazy. Just a random umbrella. So umbrella coupled with the frequency is how they're going to possess humanity. That's what we found to this point with all the other decodes.
Hasta la vista. Adios. That's right. Happy trade.
I mean, look, they're fading in and out between the focus of him and the umbrella. It's so obvious it hurts. Now, quick recap. If you're like, Casey, what are you talking about? Umbrellas? Well, the tip of the umbrella is called a ferrule. Ferrule. And there's a part inside of a hypodermic needle also that's called a ferrule. So the two are one and the same. It's in the injection. Now, you may want to be sitting down for this one, because one of you found this. What is this? Well, this is a study that was done to measure the frequencies inside of your eyeball. And one of them, with the higher frequencies here, looks like an umbrella. Now here's the study, and I'll pin this study for those that are interested. It's kind of technical, kind of hard to understand, but here's the study looking at electromagnetic frequencies inside of the human eye. Look at all these crazy formulas. I don't claim to know what all those mean, but here are the graphics. And what is it? 1.17 hertz is the frequency of this particular shape that looks like an umbrella. And what they show here is movement toward the center. That's what the yellow and the darker blue is depicting here, according to the caption under this. Moving away, moving through a portal. Now, this is unbelievable. But yet, there it is. What does this mean? I don't know what this means. But you know, the Bible says that the eye is the window to the soul. It tells us that there's something special about the eye. Jesus also said that the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is single, your whole body will be full of light. Now, I believe he's talking about a different eye, because he's saying a one eye, which is, I believe, the seat of your soul, the pineal gland, which is where I believe the Holy Spirit lives. It's like an antenna. And he's telling you basically, if your eye is single or clear, some translations say clear, which is in him, which is without being and choosing the right and left, being in the center with him, between the two thieves. That's where he wants us. Not in the devil's playground where it's red and blue, white and black, citizen, immigrant, and all these things. So, what does it really mean that the eye is the window to the soul? Well, it means that the eye is a portal, and the enemy will use that portal to try and complete its possession ritual of humanity. Now, there are many horses throughout this film, but the horse of note, there are two horses of note. In the opening, in the beginning, there's a white horse, and at the end, there's a black horse. The white horse basically is the opening of the portal. In other words, Apollo's horse, right? It's white. And his father basically gets killed sitting on a white horse, and this is when they realize that something is not right with this ranch. And at the end, the black horse, or the dark horse, is what ends up drawing this jellyfish into a trap, and they end up destroying it. So you have an opening and a closing, a white horse and a dark horse. Let's keep watching here. Now, this jellyfish likes to eat inanimate objects sometimes, mostly plastic things. And when it does that, it vomits it back up at a high rate of speed. In this case, it vomited out this plastic horse, and it goes right through the windshield of this guy who's driving. It also vomited out a nickel, which this is how his dad died, on the white horse. He vomited out this nickel, and you can see it lodged in his right eye. If your eye is single, your whole body will be full of light. If your right hand causes you to sin, gouge it out. If your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. Those are biblical scriptures if you didn't know that. And lo and behold, it's his right eye that gets gouged out by the copper core nickel. Yes, all coins have copper cores except for the penny. You can look that up on your own time. So now we have the mark of the beast, the copper inside the human. There's the white horse his dad basically got killed on. And like I said, this jellyfish vomits out these metallic objects at high rate of speed. This key is lodged into the white horse. Keys and coins both have copper cores. Now, we've talked about metals in relationship to blue-blooded creatures, and specifically copper. Hemocyanin-based creatures which have a copper-based blood. That's what cyanin is. It's copper. Hemo means blood. Cyanin means copper and blue. Now, one of the characters wears this shirt that says Jesus Lizard. And I was like, what? I was shocked to find that this is actually was the name of a 1980s band, the Jesus Lizard. So, this is all about Jesus versus the lizard. It's all about the pure blood versus the blue blood. Watch this. There's the band Jesus Lizard from the 1987 Austin, Texas, Chicago-based band. Noise rock. There she is again with the Jesus Lizard shirt on.
What you want it?
Then right here in this scene, we get another portal revelation, just to confirm that this is all about portals, because portals are spirals, right? Just like the tornado. And he basically drops this record down as a pawn in their plan to basically capture this jellyfish on video. Drops it down. This is the UFO. This is the jellyfish, and it's a record.
Here, on this ridge.
I'm here on this ridge, which is a loaded line. That line is loaded. Why is the line loaded? Because A record is one long line, one long ridge, and it's laid out in a spiral. It starts spinning on the edge and spirals all the way to the middle. In other words, a record is basically a portal. It's a serpent wrapped into a coil. Now, for those of you that didn't know, Saturn's outer F ring, of course it had to be the F ring, right? Which is the sixth letter of the alphabet. It's supposed to be a spiral as well. It's not a ring. It's actually a spiral.
Time to wake up the family.
Time to wake up the family. Probably they're talking about the fallen angels.
Nah, he's poking.
And then we get the smiley face. Now in this context, basically this guy on this motorcycle here, I only show basically the motorcycle and the smiley face, and it's actually not a smiley face, it's a indifferent face, I guess. But you get what they're at. It's all about the emoji, right? Anyway, this guy on this bike is from TMZ. He's a reporter, and he sneaks onto the ranch because he realizes that something's not right with this ranch. He tried to look at it on Google Earth, and it was all blurred out. And a bunch of people just got abducted just before this scene. They got eaten up by this creature, but no one knows what happened to all these people. So people are starting to investigate. So it's a race against time. Will the people at the ranch be able to film this creature before the world descends on this ranch and films it before they can? Which is all just ludicrous, right? The entire concept of that is just ridiculous, because here we are in a society where people are so desperate to be famous. So desperate to be famous. Even when they're presented with all of this, the dysfunction and anguish that famous people go through, they still aspire to that instead of the Most High. And that's the irony of this film, is that they're trying so hard to film this thing and be the first ones to film it. And then this TMZ guy shows up on this motorcycle with the smiley face on it. Now, what does the smiley face mean? Well, smiley face means virus. How so? Well, remember in Forrest Gump, where he had the smiley face t-shirt and it went viral? Okay. And then remember, the smiley face was in the Howling movie. It was the calling card of basically the viral infection of the wolf. And then we saw it in, what is it called? Not Goonies. Geez, it's so hard to recall this stuff sometimes. The creatures that replicate out of control. Not the Goonies. Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. And in that film from the 1980s or 90s, the smiley face appeared on the refrigerator. So smiley faces basically mean virus. Viral, something going viral, replicating out of control. Infection. So, let's keep watching.
Nah, he's poking.
Here's another kind of smiley face reference here. This is actually the airmen. They put these air men. They're like, what are these called? Like promotional. You know, you see these out around businesses, and they're filled with air, and they kind of dance around to get you to come into the business. Well, this one is on the ground, and the jellyfish thinks it's looking at him, and like I said, it has a trouble differentiating between inanimate objects and real flesh, and so it sucks up this smiley face airman into the portal. Notice the tornado spiral effect. So they're trying to get the shot of a lifetime, and then this guy ends up sacrificing himself basically, he intentionally gets sucked up by the jellyfish so he can like go out in the blaze of glory. What a loser. Anyway, what I noticed was the numbers in the bottom of his camera readout. 237. Now there's a 5 there, but we've talked all about 237, haven't we? It's the number of the beast. They had to throw that in there. And of course, you got to wrap you up in the blue blood, right? This guy gets hit with a blue tarp. Unbelievable. Actually saves his life because it stops him from looking at the thing that's trying to eat him. And of course, more records as the jellyfish spits out all of the records. Now, as I always say, Casey, how is it that you're finding all this symbolism which jives with everything else you've covered? It fits perfectly like a puzzle, but 99.9% of the people watching this film have no idea. Why would they be spending all this money and bringing to bear all these scripts together when 99.9% of the people have no idea what they're even watching? They're just watching this for entertainment value. Like, what's the mechanism going on here? What's the catalyst? What's the reason why they would do this? And my answer always is, this is visual sorcery. It's doing something to people. And unless you've decoded it or you know what it's actually saying, it's somehow putting you under some kind of mind control. And this is why we decode films, because all of the people watching these films are under mind control. And if we don't do this, then who is? These people will be stuck in their ignorance. This is why we have to do these decodes. Gosh, every single day I get criticized by my own Christian brothers and sisters, telling me, enough, stop decoding this. I'm not here for you. The Bible says I'm here for the sinners, the people that are lost, that are not saved, that are all watching all this stuff. That's who we're supposed to be here for. We already have been saved in Christ. So if this isn't resonating with you, then you can move on to other things maybe. Maybe you should just be praising and worshiping. But if you want to be in the fight, in other words, finding people that are watching all this stuff, I mean, I can't think of any other better way to spend your time. You know, other than being in the Word, of course, that's the most important thing. But how are we supposed to reach these people watching this stuff if we're not in the fight, decoding it and showing people how they're being programmed? I don't see any other way. I really don't, because all this you're watching here is what is running society. It's the big white elephant in the room. It's what's programming people and their behaviors. Look, if you haven't seen it by now, just look around you. Go look around. You'll see. All you got to do is go to a grocery store, go to a mall, and look how people are dressed. How are they dressed? Just like their idols that they see through the television. How do they act? Like their idols. What do they listen to in music? Their idols. How do they talk? Like their idols. Now, some people are a little bit more in your face with it. They'll actually wear somebody's jersey from a sports team, take on that persona. So when people tell me stop decoding this stuff, I think that's the enemy talking through them, who wants to hide in the shadows and continue his programming. He doesn't want people like me exposing this stuff. So take a minute. If you're having those feelings, think about the spirit that's coming through you, asking you to tell me to stop, okay? And if you truly have had enough, because look, this is a fight. If it becomes too overwhelming for you, it's okay to tap out for a while. I'm not going to be mad at you. But to come on here and like criticize us and tell us not to do this, you're now working for the enemy at that point. Let's keep watching this, because They finally devise a plan to lure the jellyfish up into the air and destroy it. How are they going to do that? With a helium balloon, of all things. She runs out. She releases this balloon. Now, I don't know who this balloon is, this hot air, or not. It's not hot air. It's actually helium. I don't know what this character is. Kind of reminds me of Big Bob or Big Boy or something. Balloon. Like from, I don't know. I don't know what this is. It's some kind of character. In the movie, it's actually it's actually the boy who was under the table at the beginning of this decode. That's who it is. He grows up, but his show was so popular when he was a child, and because he survived this on-set massacre, that he ends up building this entire like theme park for people to come out, and he becomes like famous. So they make this helium balloon in his honor and in his image, and it actually becomes the balloon that destroys the jellyfish. Helium, of all things, everything we've been talking about. Helios, who is Apollo, and the gas of death, mined almost exclusively under the ground with methane, which is the gas of death as well. So you have death and you have spirit represented in methane and helium. Methane is the gas of death. Helium is the gas of the spirit. You guys, is all symbolic. It's all spiritual. All of it. Now, the jellyfish is attracted to helium balloons. So it cannot resist it. It follows this helium balloon up to the skies. Just like, remember, the beginning of the film, the helium balloons. She picks up more copper core money. She basically puts it in this machine, which is a camera inside the well, the wishing well. She puts the coin in, and it takes a picture of people leaning over and looking down into the well. It's like a memento. And it also captures the image of this jellyfish. It's one of the only images that they're able to capture, because the jellyfish basically makes it impossible for them to capture it on film. So she starts snapping pictures up into the sky, right up in the balloons rising up. You see this? Okay, let me break this down for you. The helium gas of the spirit is rising up out of the dark well portal. The well represents life and death. Wow. She snaps a picture, which a camera is an aperture or a portal. And basically what you're seeing is the cycle of life. The Polaroid comes out. Polaroid pictures are so creepy. This is definitely fallen angel technology right here. So she keeps snapping these pictures off. Notice the one-eyed symbolism of the actual balloon. Okay. And the creature then swallows the helium balloon and it explodes. So, what is the nickname that they give this animal, this creature, this alien creature in the film? Its nickname is Jean Jacket. Jean jacking. Jacking with your jeans. Blue jean jacking. There it is right there. So, what are the odds that almost every single element that we've been decoding over the last 6 months is appearing in this movie. Umbrellas, helium balloons, spiral portals, monkeys, EMF frequency. I think the odds are probably 1 in millions. But yet, what I just showed you is the complete 100% truth. Let's go into the chat. That pretty much ends the decode and what I want to present to you guys today. Now, that was a pretty powerful decode. If you haven't already, give your life to Jesus Christ. He gets all the glory for everything that you just saw today. It makes me sad that some people still come to this channel and still don't believe. When every single day I give all the credit for how this was all found to him. In other words, what you like about this channel is because of him. You can't just come here and think that, oh, this is Casey doing all this, because I'm not. He gets all the glory. He's the inspiration. The person I am today is because of him. I'm not perfect. I have some things I want to work on. But that's where it comes from. So, there's only going to be so many chances. And God's going to say, hey, you know what? I was working through Casey and showing you all this stuff, and you kept denying me. How many times will you deny me? Hopefully you see the difference between this YouTube channel and many other YouTube channels who try to take all the glory for themselves. So, let me go into the chat. Someone asked about preacher rapture. I don't talk about rapture on this channel. I'm ready, regardless. I'm ready to suffer or I'm ready not to suffer. I think there's a lot of psyops out there that, you know, try to get people all hyped up. There's constantly date setting of the rapture. What do you think that does to your faith when these rapture dates come and go? Is that productive to sit and focus on that? I don't think so. I'm ready to suffer if I have to through the tribulation. You guys, we are a lot less righteous generation than any other generation before us. We're nothing close to these biblical patriarchs who actually had to sit and suffer through their lives. We're nothing close. We're so sinful, it's not even funny. It's amazing God even has grace to let us continue on another day. And people think that we're going to get scooped up and be somehow, we're special compared to the other people in the Bible who actually followed what God said every single day and tried to do his will and still had to suffer and die. So, focusing on a rapture instead of just the final coming of Christ is got a little bit of ego wrapped up in it. Okay, and some fear. People are afraid to suffer. But understand, we are, you guys, we're not that good. Okay, go back and read what some of these biblical patriarchs had to go through, and they never got rescued out of their situation. So that's just my 2 cents. Now, I'm not going to be mad at you if you believe in the rapture. I'm not going to block you, nothing. That's your personal walk. At some point, you're going to have to come to terms with it. These rapture channels are massive on YouTube. Constantly date setting. The rapture comes, the date comes, the date goes. What is that doing to people's faith? After a while, people are going to give up. Where's my God? He's forsaken me. As things get worse, they're going to be, where's my God? He's forsaken me. Think about it for a minute. That's all. People try to bring that up to try to discredit the channel. Oh, he doesn't believe in the rapture. That's not what I said. I said I'm ready either way. And all of you should be ready either way as well. When times get tough. Because times will get tough. All right, what else? We are in Satan's movie set, pretty much. Yep, we all wanted to be stars. Everybody wanted to be a star. Okay. Now, what else? What else you guys want to talk about today? I want to give you guys a chance to kind of decompress off of that decode. It was a pretty crazy decode, wasn't it? There's a lot of information, some of my opinions. Some of you might not agree 100% with my opinions. That's okay. Just be nice in the comments and in the chat. You can state your opposite side of the opinion. I've changed my opinion on certain things over the years based on people providing evidence and things like this. So this is a free speech channel. Just be nice. Offer the same courtesy that I offer you. And we can have a conversation. That's all. So, all right. Thanks, Kimberly. All the glory to God. We can only warn, we can't save. Yes, absolutely right. That's Jesus' job. And I truly believe that. I believe that we're really here to offer, evidence and proof. We're here to love one another, follow his commandments, and then let him do the rest. He's the one that takes people over the hump. Okay? He actually goes into their life through whatever mechanism. Sometimes it's tragedy, sometimes it's loss. Some people's lives are in complete chaos right now. And he goes in and he finds that moment in their life and offers them an opportunity. We can't be part of that particular part as much as we want. I know people out there that think that they're going to walk up to somebody and actually, in that moment be the person that, saves them. They take it personally. And yes, you should try and you should talk to people and love them, but people forget the commandments. They're so hung up on, I'm going to go out and save everybody. And then you look at their life and they're not showing you the fruits of the Spirit. It's the fruits of the Spirit that draw people to Jesus because you're reflecting his behavior in your life. And at least you try and people see that you're trying. And that involves not having an ego. That involves humility. It involves loving one another, self-sacrifice. When you start doing all those things in your life, people see that in you. It gives them hope for the world. Instead of seeing the other side, ego, pride. They're not slow to anger. It's your fruit. And this is what people see. We shouldn't be judging one another, making people, guilt-tripping people, especially our own Christian brothers and sisters. Constantly correcting people. Those aren't fruitages of the Spirit, you guys. And this is how people come to Christ. And then he does the rest. He's the one that touches them. But then he basically, he uses the people around you as the example. He'll go, look at such and such. They just showed up at your house with some food. And then at your lowest point, you remember those people that were in your life. Now, we all want to be part of that process to bring people to Christ in maybe a more tangible way sometimes, but that's where faith comes in. You have faith that the seeds that you're sowing and the people around you will help bring them over the hump, bring them to Christ. That's what this is all about. Okay? That's what this is all about. Now, what else you guys want to talk about? Bless you guys too. Pruning is a hard thing. Yes. Love is patient. Love is kind. Yeah, we can't hit people over the head with the gospel. It's like saying jumbo shrimp. Jumbo shrimp. There's no such thing as a jumbo shrimp. Well, actually there are, but you get what I'm saying. You can't hit people over the head with the gospel. Doesn't work that way. Okay, what if I was on here every day just telling you the gospel and not showing you anything to back that up? You would say, well, what? I hear that gospel message every day. I've got churches down the street knocking on my door telling me the gospel. It doesn't make sense until you back it up, till you tell them why they need the gospel. Which is what Jesus did. What did he do? He challenged the Pharisees. He had many, many, many discussions in the New Testament. Rebuking them, challenging them, showing how evil their doctrines were. Countering their doctrines. All of his, what is it called? All the things that he talked about, his parables, had to do with A lot of them had to do with love, but a lot of them had to do with rebuke of the actual system that they were living in. Getting people to open their eyes about the truth. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. The first thing that you can do to reach people that are around you is look at your own life and what you're doing. Are you reflecting Jesus' love in your life? That's the first thing you can do. And before you go out and talk to a single person, you need to be looking at yourself. And if you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, geez, I'm kind of a judgy Christian, constantly you're correcting people, telling people about their sin. Okay, I need to make some changes. I need to work on maybe my things that I'm doing. First, or at least start. I need to start loving people better. I need to start doing a better job at that. And then you're like, okay. And then those people, when you interact with them, they see that. And they go, oh, I want to be like that. Now, that doesn't mean being the perfect Christian. It doesn't mean that you have to have everything fixed in your life. That's not what this is about. It's about starting to go down that road and rethinking how all this works. Rethinking it. You know, my son and I were on a drive yesterday talking about, because he grew up in this church. I've talked a little bit about it. That's why I raised him, because his mother, that's what she wanted. And I thought at the time it was a good thing. I'm like, yeah, I want God in my children's life. But I thought that meant going to a church. And then my son and I were both talking about it. And he hadn't been in my life for 10 years. And he was telling me the exact same things that he perceived were the same exact things I perceived. He goes, Dad, there was some hypocrisy going on there. You know, and the pastor was marrying somebody else's wife. And there was no accountability when the other pastor was hitting on mom. And, we're like going, wow. And it was kind of neat to hear him and his perception of how things went as a child. Even as a child, he was seeing through the hypocrisy. And in one part of it made me sad, but the other part made me realize that we're on the right track. Coming out of the false churches who sit there and their job is to guilt trip you into giving them money. Guilt trip you into thinking that you're not a good enough Christian. And you should be using this or using that. Saying this right or saying that. All the while, they have never rebuked people for celebrating pagan holidays. Never told anyone that Lupercalia is the root of Valentine's Day. Never told anyone not to celebrate Halloween, which is basically a portal, bringing people to hell. Never told anyone to stop Saturnalia worshiping. They won't do that, but then they'll get mad at you because you say a cuss word. You guys, I've seen it all. I've seen it all. It's unbelievable. You say a cuss word, which basically doesn't really mean a whole lot. Yeah, it's probably not conduct that a Christian should be, involved in, but it's how you use the cuss word. If you're cussing somebody out with it, obviously that's a bad thing. But if you slip and say a cuss word and there's no one around, yeah, it's even how you say the cuss word. It's just a word. Right? If you tell someone, I effing love you, that's a completely different context than saying something else in a negative light. And it's like the church is so hung up on all the wrong stuff. And this is what breaks my heart. So, there you go. My thoughts, anyway. Okay, what else do we have here? Yes, do not put a curse on anyone. Yeah, and you shouldn't. He's absolutely right. It's almost like wanting harm to come to somebody. Okay, that's like a curse. Because the devil goes with that. And he can actually make that happen. That's what witches do. So, All right. Yeah, all right. What else is in here? I was just going by. Let me zoom that out a little bit. I couldn't really read. All right. Okay, you guys. Well, I guess I'll pop off here. And words can heal or harm. The Polaroid is reference to analogic. Okay. Dwayne, look, don't go out and just start letting them rip, okay? Why does this pop-up keep coming up? Weird. Hopefully you understand the context of what I'm talking about cursing. I've had people count my curse words before. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And that's because he without sin cast the first stone. You start looking at other people's sin or what you think is their sin, you're already going down the wrong path. We don't need to talk about where Tom is. Hopefully somebody can fill Husland Hillbilly in, because I just don't want to talk about that anymore. We don't have moderators. I don't know if you know that. There are 0 moderators on this channel. Had a long, hard process of moderators. We've been backstabbed like 10 times. So we just got rid of all moderators. Okay. So. All right, you guys. I love you, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll probably do a Between the Headlines show. I'll put links to today's show in the pinned comment if you're interested in following up on some of these links, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Much love.